need to put it in, right? I think I got it in here.
Okay, we'll get this meeting called to order and we'll get started. Roll call. Can we let the record reflect that Commissioner Ryan is absent? All other members are here. And let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance, if we could. Okay. The next item is oral communications. This is an opportunity for members of the public to address the commission on items that are not on the agenda tonight. I don't think we have any public speakers. Okay. With that, we will move to item 5, changes to the agenda. Are there any proposed changes to the agenda? Do you want to do that just in the next section or do it now? Is that considered a change?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
I know there's a speaker slip to pull a consent item. Is that a change of the agenda? Or
No,
is it?
we'll do that
Okay.
consent.
Okay. So moving on to item 6, the consent calendar. Tonight, there's only one item on the consent calendar. It's approval of minutes from the September 4th Planning Commission. And I understand someone wants to pull that. Mr. O'Grady?
Experience in being in your shoes, I want to congratulate you and thank you for upholding the staff recommendation on the Sage Canyon project related to safety and health issues. I know from past projects that we've approved at that location, they were able to do the items that the current applicant didn't seem to want to do. So we know that can be done. But I think we tend to think that developers should just give that item as part of density bonus sort of short shrift. That, oh, unless it's like on a volcano, we don't have to worry about it kind of thing. But health and safety issues, yes, can that be, abused? Sure, but there are real issues involved with health and safety. And hopefully the city council, I don't know hopefully the applicant will do the things you've required, but if they don't, hopefully you'll be backed up by the council. If it goes to court, it goes to court. But, we got to take a stand, and I applaud you for doing that. So thanks.
Okay, thank you for coming tonight. It's good to see you in the chambers again. With that, I will move to the consent calendar. Are we move to approve the consent calendar?
I will second that.
Okay, and call the vote. I'll note that I was not here for that. I was recused at that, so I think I still vote on the consent. Okay. So calling the vote. Okay, that passes 4-0. Okay, moving on to items 8A. 8A is the Winters Twin Home, case number multi-007115, 2024. Do I have any disclosures by members of the commission?
No disclosures.
Okay.
I did a drive-by on my way in today.
Okay, thank you. With that, I will look to Staff Member Kaipo for a staff report.
Thank you. Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. The item before you is project number multi-007115-2024, the Winters Twin Home Project. The project site outlined in yellow is located at 2442 Montgomery Avenue within the R11 zone. The subject property is located in the Cardiff community within the city's coastal zone. The applicant is requesting a design review permit and coastal development permit for the demolition of an existing single-family residence and the construction of a new 2-story over-basement twin home on 2 underlying legal lots. Each residence is proposed to be 1,730 square feet with a 384 square foot attached basement garage and 778 square foot attached accessory dwelling unit. For reference, here's a view of the project site as seen from Montgomery Avenue and as seen from the alley here. Here's the site plan of the proposed project, as well as the floor plan of the basement floor, including a two-car garage for each proposed residence. The first floor plan and second floor plan. This view is an elevation shown from the south. This is as seen from the north. This elevation shows each respective unit as shown from the east or Montgomery Avenue, and an alley view from the west. The project utilizes a pitched roof and meets the required 22-foot and 26-foot height limitations as measured from lower of existing or proposed grade on all sides of the proposed structure. Additionally, because the average lot slope of the project site is over 10%, the project is also subject to 12-foot and 16-foot height limitations as measured from the crown of Montgomery Avenue. The project meets these additional height requirements as proposed. The applicant held a citizens participation program meeting on July 9th, 2024. There were 5 attendees who expressed concerns about potential parking and traffic issues, construction noise and safety, and other impacts to neighboring properties. Notice of this public hearing was mailed on September 4th, 2025 to all property owners and occupants within 500 feet of the project site. The proposed project has been determined to be exempt from environmental review pursuant to California Environmental Quality Act Guidelines, Section 15301L, which exempts the demolition of a single-family residence, and Section 15303A, which exempts the construction of a single-family residence and accessory dwelling unit. The proposed project meets the city's applicable objective design standards, and staff is able to make the findings for approval of both the design review permit and coastal development permit. Therefore, staff recommends that the Planning Commission adopt the draft resolution and approve the project. And that concludes my presentation.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions of staff or clarifications? Bob?
Thank you for the presentation. Could you bring up the visual of the project looking from Montgomery, or from the alley up? I guess that's looking east, please?
The proposed or the current conditions?
Proposed, I'm sorry, the proposed. Okay, that's fine. Oh, that's perfect. So on the south lot, on the stairwell, so on the far south side, there's a pop-out. For setback purposes from the side yard, is it measured from the wall of the house, or is it measured from the edge of the, I'm calling that a pop-out, I'm not sure what that, like 3/4 of the way up the stairs?
It would be measured from the edge of that, but it's considered an architectural projection, so it is allowed to encroach 2 feet into the setback.
So it's not occupiable space, it's just a fin or some sort of,
Correct.
okay. All right, let me just see, I have a couple other questions. On the front, could you pull up a picture looking from Montgomery to the west? So the front of the house, although they're using the backyard. So how about, do we have an oblique view? What I'm getting to is, having driven the street today, there isn't any parking nor are there any sidewalks on that side of the west side of the street. So how far does the house begin versus the public street?
I mean, if you're referencing the location of the structure, it meets the 20-foot front yard setback. Or 15, it can be reduced to 15 per the high density residential standards. So there's at least a 15-foot buffer between Montgomery and
The
where the
front of their
structure
house?
begins.
Is that enough to handle a car?
Well, there wouldn't, I mean, there's slope on that portion of the property, so any additional parking would likely occur in the driveway if necessary, but they're meeting parking requirements with the garage spaces.
Okay. So they're going to enter in from the alley in the back.
Correct.
So I drove that alley and almost got swallowed up by potholes. Who's responsible to maintain the alley? And is there anything in the application that the property owner or the applicant has to maintain his, 30-foot wide portion of the alley? Because if you don't drive a tank down that alley, you might not ever come back out.
I mean, so the project was reviewed by engineering, who would kind of be the ones in charge of any required improvements. It isn't improved, obviously, with maybe some defects, but I would have to look at the conditions of
So
the
is that a
project.
city-owned, so the city's required to maintain the alley and not the private residence? Is it a private street or a public street in the alley?
That I'm not sure.
Okay. Oh, well, maybe when the
I believe
applicant comes
it's
up,
public.
he can answer that one.
Yeah.
Has the project changed materially since the CPP in July of 2024? That's almost 15 months ago.
No.
No? Okay. I've got a couple more, but I'll cede the floor.
Susan, do you have any questions?
I just have one question. I was just wondering, when we have these twin homes and they adjoin, have a common wall, is there a variance required? Because there's no setback between the two?
No, there's no variance request. The twin home, the R11 zone specifically allows for a zero lot line on these twin home developments.
Thank you.
Okay, Bob, do you have remaining questions?
Yeah, a couple more. More for clarification. So in the staff report beginning on page 5, you mentioned the beginning conversation is on lot 12 South. There are two items that are non-compliant. The net lot area is development standard is 3,500 or 3,950, and this is proposed 2,500. And then lot width is 40 feet, and the proposed project is 25 feet. Could you explain how they can be compliant in many of the others, but then non-compliant here? Is there something in the code or allows them to be non-compliant and still have some staff recommendations to approve?
Yeah, so because they're existing legal lots, underlying legal lots, they are not required to meet the current lot standards. So these are just kind of existing legal non-conforming lots that are undersized for the current standards.
So they don't have to ask for a variance to build their project. They have a legal non-conforming lot, but they are subject to the other requirements of our code, which are outlined in, the rest of that table. Correct? Okay.
Correct.
Let's see, find my next one. Just for a rhetorical question, the basement doesn't count as part of the FAR. Is that correct?
Correct. In this instance, yes.
And per the code, is it city code or state code that does not require the parking obligation for the ADU?
It's written into Encinitas Municipal Code per state ordinance regarding accessory dwelling units.
Okay. Because there was some concern from one of the CPP of parking, and so I guess they don't have to provide parking by code for the ADU, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Is it that there's no parking required or that they're allowed to put one space in the driveway?
For the ADU, because they're within a half mile of a public transit stop, they're exempt from providing an ADU parking space. They meet the requirements, though, for the primary residences, which is 2 enclosed parking spaces.
What transit stop do they, are they within a half mile? Is that considered a major transit stop?
Not major, likely a bus stop. I don't know the specific one, but
Isn't it required to be a major transit stop?
not for the parking exemption, no.
Given its location near the lagoon, is there anything special? Obviously, looking for a coastal development permit, then it's appealable to Coastal Commission, but is there anything in our city codes that, because of its close proximity to the San Alejo Lagoon, anything special that has to be taken care of with regard to the permit, other than, what's in the code for stormwater and maintaining water on site?
Nothing specific to the lagoon, and it's outside of the Coastal Commission's appeal jurisdiction, so
Oh,
it's
it
not
is.
close
Okay.
enough to be considered appealable to them anyways.
Looking, I guess this is probably, all right, that's fine. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you for that. I think I see the applicant is here. Would you like to present your project?
I don't really have a presentation, but I can answer some of the questions. As far as the parking, we did split our stairways to the 2 twin homes to the far outside so that we provided 2 on-street spaces between those stairways. I don't know if the dimensions are adequate for city rules, but they be able to be parked 2 cars there. Because this building has 4 units altogether, they do have to be seismically separated, not typical of a twin home. So we have an 8-inch space where they're not touching basically, and that's per the building department. The alley is already improved on this frontage because DZM Partners did a twin home a few years ago where we improved the alley right across the alley. So it already has the ribbon gutter and the asphalt paving and all that. So I'm sure the grading inspector will make sure that it looks the same when it's done as it did when we started the project. So those are the kind of trying to answer some of the questions you had, and I'm available for questions if you have any more. Thanks.
I think there was a question about the architectural projections into the side yard. I know they're prescribed 8 feet or
Well,
8 by
these,
2 or
it's a
something.
5-foot side yard setback, so they're allowed to be 6 foot tall and project 2 feet into the 5-foot setback. There's no limit on the width of them, but these are not like super long in width, probably in the range of 5 or 6 feet. And they just provide kind of like a niche. Sometimes they're used as window seats and that kind of thing.
So they are occupiable space. It's not,
We
it's
could have
not an,
Capo bring up the
Yeah, it'd be
plans
great.
and maybe we could look at them. Oh, sorry, I didn't introduce myself. I'm Bart Smith with DZM Partners. I'm also an architect and I live in the city. So.
Great, thank you.
The one near the kitchen, I believe it's the south unit, is labeled as a wine cellar. Is that correct?
So that would probably just have a refrigerated built-in wine cellar in it. And the other niche is for the fireplace.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we have any on the lower floors, just on this upper floor. Yeah.
So, go ahead. So my question then back to staff is, if that's occupiable space and he's using it for a fridge and he's using it for a fireplace, is it eligible to be an encroachment into the 5-foot setback? If it's just an architectural thing, wing, I'll call it, then that's one thing. But if it's occupiable space and usable space, then is that an allowable encroachment?
Essentially, yes, because it's not considered like habitable space, if you will. We would still classify that as a projection.
And it's on both sides, right, the north and the south?
Correct. Yeah, for each unit.
Yeah. Okay.
I can jump in here with a question?
Yes.
Thank you for coming, Bart.
Sure.
Can I ask on, from the alley entering the sides of the structures or staircases?
Sure, yes,
And
correct.
so from entering from the street side, is it Montgomery, is that right?
Yes,
Is entering the sides of the structures is staircases?
yes,
Okay. And so you had a requirement to provide trash in a discrete location, and it seemed from what I saw from what was in these plans is that you're utilizing the space between the two buildings on the east side, so the Montgomery side. Is that correct?
that's correct.
Okay. So my question is just a practical one.
Yeah, well, this
How do you
issue
get the
came
trash
up.
to the street with up a staircase or down a staircase?
This
I don't
issue-
know. Does trash get picked up on the alley side or on Montgomery side up there? I don't have any idea.
All right, I'll answer your question.
Thank you.
The alley, that alley is a dead-end alley, so the trash trucks do not go down that alley. So the trash is picked up on the street at Montgomery.
Okay.
So we went back and forth with the previous planner on the project, and we wanted to put the trash cans in a little protected fenced area up on the right-of-way or just off the right-of-way. But it was determined that they just didn't like that. So so eventually the trash cans just ended where we could put them, outside of the front setback and outside of the right-of-way and all that. It's not practically going to work, but this is where we were told it would work to get the project approved. So
Appreciate that.
if you drive up and down Montgomery on that block, trash cans kind of just occupy the street 24/7. That's just, not just on this property, but multiple properties. So,
Understood.
yeah, okay.
Oh, and do you know if the alley is public or private?
It's public,
It's public?
yeah.
So it's a city responsibility?
Yes. Well, if you develop a twin home or something like it, you're usually
yours.
required to improve the alley,
Right.
but supposedly the city will maintain it after that, so.
Yeah, I drove all the way down to the end, not knowing it was a dead end, so I'm sure the people at the end of the street got a little grumpy as I hung a Yui in their driveway over the little plastic person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
I can see why the trash trucks don't want to go there. I had a couple questions, Chair, for the applicant regarding some of the scoreboard. Looks like the design objectives, both the design objectives and then there's another scoreboard, kind of hit the bare minimum. Is there anything that, it just seems like you didn't put greenery on the roof? I mean, these are some of the things. You scored 0 on blank walls without doors or windows at 30 feet, although I'm not sure why based on the articulation.
That's where they're.
Oh, that's on that side?
Sandwich part.
The sandwich part of the house? Oh, thank you. Okay.
You want, I
Is that
can
how they
answer
did
the
that?
question.
I think we answered it.
Okay,
Yeah. Yep, thank you. No,
Sounds-
he answered it for me, thank you.
okay, thanks. Any other questions?
I think you're good. Thank you. I do have a follow-up question for the staff. Is there a limitation of 3 stories? When you look at the elevation from the west, right above, from the alley, you're seeing garage, living room, bedrooms, living rooms. Isn't that constitute a 3-story, and isn't there supposed to be a setback? I guess I'm referring to design standard SS 4.1. Buildings with 3 or more stories, a minimum of 30% of the building facade above the 2nd story shall be set back from the wall planes located adjacent to single-family residence or duplex zone. Is that looked at for this project?
So because it's a qualifying basement, the basement level doesn't constitute a story per our code's definition. So because it's not classified as a true story, we wouldn't look at it in that same context. So.
Okay, thank you.
And actually, if I may clarify the architectural projection conversation, the height of the overall height of the projections is not great enough for us to consider it like occupiable space. So.
Okay, thank you. With no other questions, I'm going to close the public comment portion and open this up to commissioner deliberations. Brent, you want to start down at the end and give us the first thoughts?
Certainly. This is very typical of that particular area. It looks a lot like the surrounding areas. It seems, I was actually impressed with the sizes of the garage were a little bit smaller than average, and I liked how they put kind of tiny-ish cars into their model, because I appreciated that. I think that's what is deserving of that particular area. And I mean, in design, it looked very much like it would fit into with the area. I was a little bit concerned about the pop-outs on the sides, of course, when I looked at it, because I've seen others in the area where, it shrinks down to like, there's no way a firefighter is going to get between those 2 buildings. It gets so tight.
Right.
And so, but I did feel like the pop-outs were actually high enough to, allow people to pass through the 5-foot space that's occupied there. The questions that I had about the trash, I don't find that adequate, acknowledging that it's not going to feasibly work. Because I think that is the concern of the area, is that trash is being left on the street and on a regular basis in the cans. So I had I have concerns about that. And I don't know if there's a solution with the current project as it's proposed. So I don't know what to say about that, but let's leave it there.
Okay, thanks.
Generally supportive, though.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm generally supportive of it too. It's consistent with the neighboring community. The fact that they're using the alley as ingress and egress is a good idea, just because driving down that street with people parking on the east side and the west side, it's really tight. I don't know from a safety standpoint how the city can allow that alley to remain the way it is. You can barely get in and out of it, but that's not this discussion. I do think that Brent brings up a very good question regarding the trash cans. I'm not sure why staff would say they don't want the trash cans hidden from view. I mean, to me, it would be nice to have, if the applicant's willing to do it, to hide the trash cans. Maybe if one person does it, maybe it begins a trend, and so all the trash cans aren't out front on Montgomery every day. If we can make that adjustment, that's great. But it is consistent. It does show the articulation and tends to conform to the design standards. I think it conforms to the height issues. And I did ask a question earlier of staff on the call, why, if they were to apply one house at a time, it would require different sets of setbacks between the 2 houses. So it's important to apply the applicant to do 2 houses at once. So
Okay.
I guess the rules would be different if they did them separately. So.
Susan, any thoughts?
I'm generally supportive of it as well. I do think it's good use of the area that they had. Their design is very thoughtful. I think the pop-outs could be a little architecturally boring. Their tops look flat. I would suggest that when we look at those pop-outs, we don't really have anything to say about design, but isn't there going to be ponding of water on top of those flat pop-outs? I think maybe they're just, because of the CAD apps used, it might not be shown as it actually will be. But I think it's questionable in terms of it will tend to be a water intrusion area potentially because it's flat. And but other than that, it looks pretty good. I think the use of parking on the street for these twin homes, I would recommend to council that we consider permit parking being part of the projects, because obviously with only the possibility of street parking, if those spots are occupied, they're out of luck.
Right.
Come home at night at 11 at night maybe from work like I used to, and too bad. Got to walk a long way to get home then. But those are my thoughts.
Thank you.
I would be in favor of this project as well. It's just what Cardiff does. These twin homes are narrow, they're zero lot line in the middle, there's light wells, there's basements, all of this is pretty standard and fits the context there. So I hear a general consensus around support. I made one note about some consternation about trash. I think I think they're not allowed to show an enclosure in the front setback, and so they can't show it, but then I think they obviously probably want to go back and eventually build a screened shelter in the front. But I don't know that we could make it part of the resolution. There is a setback, and they're not technically allowed, supposed to be doing that. So I would remain silent on the trash issue myself.
That's fair. I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, hearing a motion,
I'll second.
second, let's call the vote. Okay, that passes 4-0. You're on your way. Okay, our next item is item 8B, the Lucadia Garden Lofts, case number multi-005139, 2022. Briefly, any disclosures?
No disclosures.
Okay, I've eaten at the restaurant there and
Same.
I've been around the property.
Might just go tonight.
Okay, good. With that, I will turn it over to Takuma Eastland for a presentation, staff.
Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. Takuma Eastland, Associate Planner. The item before you is multi-00513 2022, the Lucadia Garden Lofts project. The project proposes to add 3 residential 1-bedroom condos and 1 storage unit to an existing commercial building, convert the existing commercial spaces to commercial condo units, and to demolish and reconstruct the existing stormwater basin. The project site, outlined in yellow, is located in the commercial residential mixed 1 zone of the North 101 Corridor Specific Plan within the Lucadia community and the coastal zone. To authorize the project, the applicant is requesting a condo map for the proposed residential units and the conversion of the existing tenant spaces, a design review permit modification for the proposed residential units and new exterior improvements, as well as a coastal development permit. For background, in 2010, the Planning Commission approved resolution number PC 2010-15, which authorized the construction of a commercial development, including a one-story bakery and a two-story commercial retail office building, and to merge two existing legal lots. Then, in 2014, the Planning Commission approved resolution number PC 2014-09, which authorized the sale of beer and wine for on-site consumption through a Type 41 ABC license for an existing restaurant. Here is the proposed site plan showing the new residential units and storage space situated behind and above the existing commercial spaces along North Coast Highway 101. Here are the proposed podium and mezzanine level floor plans. Here is a rendering of the project looking northwest. Measuring 29 feet, 9.5 inches, the project meets the NCRM1 zone height limit of 30 feet. Here is a rendering of the project looking southwest. Here is a rendering of the project looking northeast. And here is a rendering of the project looking southeast. The applicant held a citizens participation program meeting on January 27, 2025 at City Hall. There were 5 attendees who had concerns about on-site parking, number of proposed units, unit size, project design, permit processing time, and potential timing for future construction. Notice of this public hearing was mailed on September 4th, 2025 to all property owners and occupants within 500 feet of the project site and to anyone who requested such a notice in writing. No comments were received. The project has been determined to be exempt from environmental review pursuant to CEQA Guidelines Section 15301K, which exempts the subdivision of existing commercial buildings, and Section 15303B, which exempts the construction of multifamily residential totaling no more than 4 dwelling units. The project is consistent with the objectives and policies of the general plan, the North 101 Corridor Specific Plan, as well as the city's local coastal program, and staff is able to make the findings for approval of the tentative map, design review permit modification, and the coastal development permit. Therefore, staff recommends that the Planning Commission adopt the draft resolution of approval and approve the project. And this concludes staff's presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any comments or questions? Not comments so much as questions. Bob?
Thank you for the presentation. Let's see. First one is under parking on page 7 of 108 of the staff report. So can you walk me through how they were able to meet their parking requirements? I think they needed to do 13 stalls. How did they accomplish that?
Yeah, so the North 101 specific plan provides several strategies to provide parking outside of just the normal parking ratios that are required in other zones. One of them is to allow on-street parking, which is immediately adjacent to a development site that is able to then count towards the required parking spaces. And so including those 2 that are in front and on North Coast Highway 101,
Right.
they have 13.
So they're not on Jason, they're on, the 2 that count are on North Highway 101?
That's correct. In this case, Jason
Yeah, there's no room.
is not wide enough.
Yeah, there's no room. Okay, thank you. Let's see. Did want to compliment the applicant on the, it's the first time I think we've ever seen something come through with a vegetated roof, so pretty darn excited about that. I know, don't know how that engineering works, but it is the first time that I think we've seen it come through, so I'm looking forward to seeing that installed. So I think my earlier conversation with staff was that you worked really closely with staff to meet the scorecard, and that was one that worked out. So I think looking forward to that. I do have another question for staff. I just have to get to it. You showed some resolutions in 2010, and I think there was another resolution. Is that just for giving us some history with the project and what's happening on a go-forward basis in this resolution? Do those old resolutions go away, or are they being modified with the new resolutions?
No, in this case, they're being added to the land. The design review permit is being modified, but the rest are essentially staying the same.
Okay. There was one more point that I have, but I'll step back after that.
The design review permit is considered a modification, but the coastal development permit is not considered a modification?
In this case, no, it's a new one associated with the current application.
Okay. It looks like the base density allowed there is 4 units, and they're proposing 3 units in a storage space. Okay.
Oh, I found it. Sorry.
Go ahead, Bob.
On page, sorry, let me just make sure I give the right page. On page 21 of the staff report of 108, item L, darn it. I have to go back to it. My computer, sorry. I think L06, it's at the top of the page. It references 50%, but I think the applicant under the scorecard, L06, right before maps 101, it says landscaping, the project shall provide 50% of the total landscaped area as Southern California native landscaping. Didn't the scorecard say that he would do 90%?
That's correct. In this case, this is just a standard condition to ensure that they do the minimum, but they will be complying with the 90%.
So if he says he's going to do 90%, is that in the resolution that he says he's going to hold him to it? Is it part of our resolution that requires him, if he's going to say 90, do we put it in the resolution, or do we put the minimum amount per the code?
It'll be part of the stamped approved plans.
But it's not in our resolution. So we're not, I just want to be consistent, that's all.
So that specific language isn't in the resolution necessarily. However, we do have a condition of approval in the resolution, essentially stating that the applicant is required for their project design to substantially conform with the project sheets on the plans provided. And so that one would hold them to that standard, that they're required for their project plans to essentially meet that which they're showing right now.
So it's on the project plans, but
Correct.
it's not language in the resolution.
You're correct, yes.
So if there was something else other than, how do those is that an inconsistency? And could there be other inconsistencies between a plan and a resolution? And if so, which one takes precedent?
In terms of the minimum standard is typically what we do the basis of our standard conditions. However, any sort of design criteria that is more stringent than that, which is the minimum standard, would typically be on the plans, and that would take precedent over providing the minimum. So think of those standard conditions of they can never go below that standard, and then the criteria of which they should be meeting, though, is the project plans that we approve, essentially.
I don't know if this is deliberation, maybe it's just code. I don't understand how it works.
It's mostly argument.
No, I know. It's understanding of why one is allowed and why not keep it consistent, I guess. Maybe that's just.
I would add, if in theory the plans supersede, then there's no need for the condition at all. if they're going to be held to 90% because
Right.
it's in the project plans. But I don't think that's our goal today is to.
No, I'm
hash
just,
that
it's,
out.
it's also an education process for the next time there's an inconsistency.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Is that okay, good. All right, thank you very much. With that, I believe the applicant is here.
Good evening. My name is Brian Church, the architect working on the project. We were also the architect on the original building, I can't believe it's 15 years ago or something. I don't really have anything in addition to Takuma's presentation, but I'm certainly available to answer any questions. Yeah, the green roof thing it's funny because it comes up every time we propose one, and everybody's questions are, doesn't it leak, or doesn't it waste a lot, or weigh a lot, or how do you maintain it? And they're actually pretty bulletproof and pretty easy. And they look great.
I hope more people would do it. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Oh, one question.
Yes, I have a question. I was just wondering why on the plans you call that black wood? And generally, in our beach community, we want light colors because of solar incidents in Southern California. We want to generally see materials that will either slow down the solar incidents, that it filters into the building over a period of 6-7 hours, whatever. Why would you choose black?
I think it was because the project's got a little bit of an industrial feel to it. I think we just wanted it for the contrast. I don't think it's a significantly large piece of the elevations. If you want to bring up the elevations, we can look at those, but it was going to be a dark stain. A lot of those tend to lighten up a little bit as they age too. More so than we like.
To me, it just doesn't fit the neighborhood. I don't see other buildings that are black in that neighborhood.
I'm having a hard time seeing the black. I see a lot of, I presume, Corten steel
Right.
siding.
So it was just a contrasting material to break up the middle. You can see that it's about maybe 10% or 5% of that west elevation.
I see.
Not very much. A lot of that will get, won't get sun until the late afternoon, at which point it's going to be shaded by the buildings across to the west as well.
I mean, it's residential, correct?
Yes.
Not industrial?
Well,
long
industrial, no,
one-on-one.
you're certainly not industrial use. I meant industrial from a design sensibility.
Could I ask Ryan a couple of things? I was interested in knowing a little bit more about the business tenants that were going to be there. I believe there's some existing ones, is that correct?
Yeah, they're all staying.
And they're all staying?
Yeah.
And so are some leaving?
No, not that I know of.
Not you know. Okay, so it's, okay. Thank you. The other question
You're
I
worried
had.
about the tacos.
The other question I had, there wasn't a lot of information in the report that I received regarding the reconstructing of the existing stormwater basin. I was hoping maybe you could just give me just a little bit of a picture of what that's going to look like. It sounds like this project's been going for quite a long time, and I imagine there's been quite a bit of changes regarding stormwater runoff in that particular area of town. So
Absolutely, yeah. There's been a lot, yeah. Yes, absolutely. Originally, we had a detention basin that was under the parking lot that's basically a big swimming pool filled with rock, and they use the empty spaces for the storage of the water, and you pump it out. Since we're going to be building on top of it, that's why it was going to get reconstructed. I think the comment from the city engineer at the time was, yeah, we like this kind of system because when it silts up and stops working, nobody notices. So we're going to have a better system this time. We actually have the civil engineer if you want to have any specific questions about how it would work.
I was just more curious about the location, if it's going to feed into or have any effect on the surrounding stormwater
Oh, no.
systems that are being reconstructed around that area, those types of things.
I don't think it is. You want to ask the civil engineer?
Happy to hear from anybody involved. That'd be great.
Oh, sure. All right. The Brian Arlino, from civil.
Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioners. Brian Artolino, civil engineer on the project. So the original system was kind of bizarre. It was about like 50 feet by 20 feet by 12 feet deep, and it was basically nothing but crushed rock underneath the existing pervious paver surface. With this new design, and due to the structural elements of it, we needed to consolidate it, condense it, make it more optimized. So the gravel's coming out. We're going to use a storm trap, like concrete block, a concrete structure system to optimize our storage, but it's still going to discharge in the exact same way it did before. So it'll discharge out to a pump, it'll go out to Jason, it'll go out to the 101. So the only difference really is between one and the other is one was a gravel system, which you only get 40% void ratio on those ones, versus basically a tank system. And it's effectively functioning the same way. It's located in the same place. It's going to discharge in the same exact way. We're still taking our Leucadia floodwater the same way through the inlet on the 101 near the corner. So we're still taking care of all of our Leucadia floodway obligations. The only thing is this system is not a gravel system, so we can make it more compact and tight. But the inlet is still the same, the outlet's the same, it's just smaller.
So the footprint of the newer one is smaller?
Yes, correct.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, the existing system's actually, was kind of ridiculous when I look back on it, all 15 years later.
Okay, I have one more question of the architect. Could you pull up page 106 of 108, please? A little bit further down. My question is, is the roof over the existing Hagos, is that changing its use? Is that going to be used by the residences? It just looks like there's a little bit of a railing there. And
No, we are building very close to it, and we're going to take advantage of that additional connection from an access point so that you could access the podium level, if you will,
Right.
from the second floor of the front uses, but it doesn't actually overlap.
So it's not a usable deck because you're on the roof of the.
No, Hagos has got a bunch of equipment up
Yeah,
there
yeah,
that we're
okay.
not
All right.
touching.
The way it looked like it was set back, I'm like, oh, is that now going to be part? Thank you. That was it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, I'm going to close the public comment portion of this and open it up to commission deliberation. I think I'll start on this one. I think this is a really great example of a mixed-use project fitting into 101. Office, retail, or restaurant, residential. I think it maintains a nice scale. I was initially concerned it would overwhelm the existing building, which is a beautiful building. This is really well done and very thoughtfully designed, so I'm in favor and support of it.
Yeah, I agree. This fits in well with the area. It has a bit of a boxy look, but I wasn't turned away by that look. I think it's going to fit nicely into the area. I think it's fitting to have a multi-use building. They're using up quite a bit of the footprint of the space they have, and I think that's fine for that particular location. And appreciate the additional housing units.
Good.
Yeah, I was pretty excited by it.
Mhm.
Just not being an architect, but I liked the look of it, and I do think that it fits well into the neighborhood, and I do think that using the space as well, they use it, they taking advantage of the parking and building on top of it, and the additional units in the area. I think it's an excellent example of creativity and bringing more housing and more vibrancy to that part of the corridor. I really like it.
Right. Susan, do you have any thoughts on this?
Well, overall, it seems like a lot more coverage on the lot, but you're improving the bioretention basin. It sounds like the former one wasn't really as functional as a more modern system will be. So although it's smaller, it's designed for the capacity of the greater lot coverage, hopefully. I would say it would be, if our engineering has approved it. I'm not a fan of this industrial look in the area, but I do like mixed-use development a lot. So overall, I would be supportive of the mixed-use development concept and increasing our housing.
Great. Can I hear a motion?
Mike, make a motion to approve?
I'll second that.
Okay, thank you both. I'll call the vote.
That was, Bob, you made the first. Okay.
Yep, that'd be me.
Okay, that passes 4-0. Got your approval. Mhm. Okay, our final, or not the final, but the back end here. The future agenda items added by planning commissioners. Are there any future agenda items?
I have none.
Susan? Susan, any future agenda items?
Still looking for those work plan items to be divvied up, but apparently we're not into that yet.
Yeah, I'll be bringing them back shortly. I'm just looking for I've been looking for the right meeting where we have additional time, but soon.
Okay, thank you. All right, planning commission reports. Seeing none?
None.
We'll move on to secretary reports.
None.
Okay. And with that, I will adjourn the meeting until our next regular planning commission meeting on October 2nd.
Yeah, I want